Hi, it's Liz Sneddon. Let's have a look at using Excel to record our data for experimental probabilities. So let me jump across to my document here. So I've got a brand new document open here. And what we want to do is we want to first of all set it up ready to record the data. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my trial. That's my heading for the first column. And I want the outcome. So what actually the result is going to be for each experiment. So we've identified that I'll need to do at least 30 trials. So I'm going to just type in 1, 2, and 3 into the first 3 cells. Now Excel is quite a good program for recognizing patterns. So what I've done here is I've just selected those 3 cells. And if I now come to this bottom right hand corner, I get this big black plus button coming up. So anywhere else, and I just have different things, but I get this particular plus button. So I'm going to click and hold, and I'm going to scroll down till I get to cell number 31. And then I'm going to let go. And so that's now filled in up to 30 for me. So there's my 30 different trials. Then I need to carry out the experiment. So if my experiment was selecting either an apple, a pear, or a peach from a basket of fruit, then I'm just going to record which item gets selected each time. Okay, so this is a very simplified version of what we expect at level 1. But it gives you the idea of in terms of the skills required. So say I chose an apple first. That was my first trial. Then I returned it, chose another fruit, and the next time I might have got a peach. So I'm going to put a peach into there. Then I've got a pear the next time, and so on. So I'm just going to get a whole bunch of different fruits that I choose each time, and I'm just going to type in what the result are. Now notice as I'm typing them in, I'm starting all of them with a capital letter, and I'm making sure that they're all the same, because that's important. If they're not the same, that's going to cause us problems later on. So if I was to type in apple with a lowercase, that's going to give me some problems. Okay, so that's my next step, is to fill in those outcomes. Okay, now just because for the sake of demonstrating, I'm just going to go copy and paste and fill these in just so that I've got some data here for you. And let's grab, here we go. Okay, so there's my 30 pieces of data. All right, you won't be doing it that way, you'll do it properly. So what I want to do now is if I come up to the top here where it's got the A and the B, and if I click on both of those, so I've click, hold, and now I let go, what I can do is I can get it to resize those columns nicely for us. So when I go between the cells, so you can see the line between the cells, it comes up with this little image there. If I double click, then you notice how now it's just resized those columns to be a nice maximum size. Okay, so that's quite a useful one. All right, so that is our first part of the setup. Now what I want to do is I want to actually work out a summary table of that data. Okay, so this is going to be my summary table. And what I need to do is I need to record what each of the outcomes are. So I've got an apple, I've got a peach, and I've got a pear. So that's my sample space. I've got all of those sample spaces recorded. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to go through that column B, and I want to count how many of each type of fruit there is. And I could go through and do it manually, that would be quite okay. I'm going to just get Excel to do a little bit of that for me though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say equals COUNTIF and then open bracket. So this is a function, and what you can see there in that light coloured underneath, it's a function called COUNTIF, and it now says range, criteria. So the range, what I need to select first is the cells that I want it to look through for me. So I'm going to click and hold and select all of the results that I got from my experiment. So that's my range. And then I'm going to say comma, and I can type it in 2 different ways. I can either say, because it's a word answer, I would put quote marks around it and type in the word apple and quote, So that's one way that I can do it. And if I hit enter, that then goes and counts 16 apples for me. The other way that I can do it is I can say equals COUNTIF bracket, select those cells again, and I am going to say comma, and I am going to click on the cell here that I've typed the word peach in. And so it's there, it's going to put the note there of D3, so whatever's in that cell, it's going to look for that. Okay, so it saves me typing it out again. Close bracket, and there are 5 peaches. And then I'm going to do the last one, equals COUNTIF bracket. I'm going to select my range of my results, and I'm going to say I want you to count how many pears there are. Close bracket, and there we go. So there is my summary of that's tallying up. It's my frequencies. Okay, so that's given me the frequencies. Now what we want to do is I'll need to give it a heading. So in fact, let's call that frequencies. And the next thing I want to do is calculate the relative frequency. Okay, so the relative frequency, that's looking at turning it into a probability or into a decimal percentage, sorry. So what I know is that there were 16 apples in my results, and I had a total of 30 different trials. So what I'm going to do in this cell here, I'm going to say equals, I'm going to click on the 16, and then I'm going to say divided by and 30. And so that divides it through. And I can now actually, if I go to the bottom here, I can drag that formula down, and it automatically calculates these other ones for me as well. So it just does this number divided by 30, that number divided by 30, and there are my different results. So there is a summary table now of my data. In fact, I would be quite good if I just put this here and call that column sample space so that I've got appropriate labels there. And I'm just going to select each of those, go to the lines between them, and double click, and that just resizes it nicely for me. So there I have some summary data from my experiment, and that I can then go on to interpret and or draw graphs from. Thanks for watching.